The latest Gauteng Quality of Life survey by the Gauteng City-Region Observatory into life in the province shows people are not happy. This prompted President Cyril Ramaphosa to lead a cabinet delegation to the economic hub. Gauteng contributes about 35% of the country's total economic output and is home to more than 15 million people, about 25% of the country's population of 62 million people. We're now joined by the Executive Director of the Gauteng City-Region Observatory, Rashid Seedat. Rashid, a very good afternoon to you. Thank you very much for your time. People of the province are not happy. Not that we didn't know that.
Good afternoon, Vio, and good afternoon to your viewers, and thank you very much for the opportunity to talk to you. Let me just say that the GCRO has been doing a survey, a quality of life survey, for the last 15 years now. We've had 7 iterations of the survey over that period. And what we have seen over time is very dramatically declining satisfaction virtually in all metrics in relation to service delivery, in relation to governance, in safety, socioeconomic circumstances, and so on. So in general, the quality of life in Gauteng has actually declined over time since we've been doing the survey.
Did the dramatic decline, as you describe it, come as a surprise?
I'm not sure. We have been witnessing the decline over several years. I think that, certainly there was a period, for those of us that are old enough to know, in the immediate post-apartheid period, there was a lot of euphoria. I think in the Mbeki presidency, there were some hiccups, but generally, I think there was a sense of optimism. There's also growth. And since the global sort of financial decline, and also very poor governance and state capture at the national level, the country has witnessed a general decline. But certainly, if you go to a sub-national scale of provincial government and local government, we've also seen that kind of decline. I should just say that in terms of satisfaction for the 3 spheres of government, in terms of our survey, in the early periods of the survey, national and provincial government were reasonably okay, actually. But in the current survey, they've dropped to, around 25%. And that's for all spheres of government. So there's a general sense that there's, a crisis in local government and certainly, or in government in general. And as we all very well know, I think it has translated into some very earth-shattering electoral outcomes as well.
Perhaps the real surprise then is the fact that nothing has been done to deal with what you have observed over the years, people's concerns and fears, and irrespective of whether they are real or perceived.
I think that there is that concern, absolutely. And from the snippet that I heard about the president in relation to Johannesburg this morning, I think that epitomizes the problem, that there has been this general sense of inertia, if you like, that has characterized governance at all levels. And I say this, right now as somebody working in the research field, but I have a long history as a public servant in local government and provincial government in the city of Johannesburg and the Gauteng provincial government, and I have witnessed firsthand the kind of problems in governance. The institutional sort of capabilities have been denuded over time, sometimes deliberately, sometimes not. But I think that that concern is there. I should say though, and I don't want to sound like only being negative. I think there's a recognition. I mean, in the engagements we've had with Premier Lesufi, for example. When the survey was actually launched, it was launched in October last year. The Premier was present, and I think he openly acknowledged the problems. And certainly in Joburg, the executive mayor himself has also acknowledged the problems. But I think so in the recent period, there has been the sense that we need to do something. And I think it's very positive that the president is present today and tomorrow, because it will hopefully signal, I think, a move to a different trajectory. In other words, the downward trajectory needs to be arrested and basically, move in a positive direction. It's not going to be an overnight thing, but I think there are many potential quick wins that we can achieve in relation to service delivery, the urban environment, in relation to finances, certainly at local government level. In the city of Joburg, I think there are some dire straits, but there are mechanisms and ways in which to do that. I know it's not simple. Look at the national budget. I mean, it requires quite a lot of negotiation, and perhaps we need those sorts of coming together across the board by different political parties, civil society, and government together to basically say, how do we begin to turn things around?
Rashid, I mean, acknowledging something is one thing, but doing something about it is quite another. And what often surprises me is the fact that, let's take your project, right? The Gauteng City-Region Observatory. Now, this is a partnership between the University of Johannesburg, the University of Witwatersrand. These are knowledge-creating institutions, publicly funded, together with the Gauteng provincial government, which has a responsibility to serve the people of this province. This is where the president is spending his time today and tomorrow, together with the local government, with SALGA in Gauteng, which is a part of which is your city of Johannesburg, where the president will, which is where the president's focus is going to be tomorrow, right? So you brought together all, these people who obviously come from different, shall we say, vantage points, but brought together by a need to identify the problems, or where problems have been identified, what then needs to be done about it. And the beauty about your project is that you are not hostile towards one another. There's this commitment to work together to solve these problems. But then very little actually happens, which calls into question, these relationships and whether in fact they do indeed deliver the goods. The same has been said here on this studio by the former statistician general Padi Lehohla, that over the years, Stats SA has been churning out all this information, but the priorities, the government's priorities, don't speak to the information that is actually at its disposal.
So my take, I mean, Vuyo, you know very well some of the the interventions that are taking place, or maybe not interventions, but initiatives that are currently underway at the national level, certainly in relation to electricity, the work around Transnet under Minister Barbara Creasy, the unit in the presidency called Operation Vulindlela that has been kind of working on some of this stuff. I think there have been initiatives in the right direction. I certainly take the view that it's, yes, we have to be open and transparent about the problems, and I can tell you and I can show you the statistics which basically demonstrate in a very clear way that there is very low levels of satisfaction, and we say it because it's really important that we be transparent about the outcomes of our research. But I'm an optimist, and my optimism is that there are possibilities. I think the fact that the president himself has come to Gauteng and to Johannesburg and is spending 2 days here in the context of a budget that needs to be passed, as you know, next week. I mean, spending 2 days of his time to basically see if there can't be some sort of working together to address the problems, very much in the way that the presidency has done so in eThekwini, as you know, a year ago. And by all accounts, we are seeing the fruits of that. So it does mean that on a number of sort of different areas, we basically need to see how and where we can intervene. And for me, the intervention is, I think there needs to be a stabilization of governance. I mean, why can't we have a government of local unity of some sort, as opposed to a working arrangement that you have currently in the city of Joburg, for example? Why can't we think about, much more effective and transparent and ethical public servants who are appointed? So there's a window of opportunity for the city of Joburg. They've got a vacancy for both the city manager and the chief operating officer. I mean, can we get good people there who would actually, do the job on an ethical basis and would make sure that service delivery is addressed, effectively and so on. I mean, I can go on. I've got. I mean, I have some ideas in my head. It does need a kind of deliberate effort. I just want to remind viewers, maybe, I mean, I've been around long enough to know that in the year 1998, soon after the local government transition began in Joburg, and I worked in the city at the time, we had a crisis. We called it a financial institutional crisis. I mean, you may remember, Vuyo, Ketso Gordon was appointed the city manager. Kenny Fitler was the chair of the transformation, the Hotla, and then that laid the basis for Mayor Masondo to initiate a 10-year golden age, if you like, in Joburg. And I call it a golden age because I think we did phenomenal things in the city. The BRT system, the upgrading of Tukoza Park in Soweto, the roads. And so you can turn things around if you have that sense of really like putting your mind, you focus, you got the right capacity, etc., etc. You can actually make magic. I mean, Joburg has got lots of potential, and maybe that's, I should say, we've got enormous potential in the city. We're not, fortunately, we're not in some sort of, peripheral rural area where there's very little capacity and resources to do so.
Hopefully, that potential will someday be fully realized, and hopefully people can share the same optimism that you have, Rashid. Rashid Seedat, let me thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. And as my previous guest said, we cannot afford to lose hope. Not all is lost, but let's hope that the president's visit to Gauteng will indeed yield the kind of results that everyone is expecting or hoping for. Let's not